Hi, ho, hello everyone. Welcome to the first episode of a new thing I want to do. Because, to be perfectly honest, I don't get enough done on this channel. I've had a lot of problems with editing recently. So I really came to this conclusion that I would like to start a not weekly, but every other week podcast. Because it will let me do videos I really want to do, but not full on do them with all the editing. I can get a lot more content out there, a lot more opinions out there, discuss more. Like, I was planning to get a Kid Cuddy, Eminem, and now MF Doom ranking out, but like it's unlikely I can get all three of those videos done even by the end of January, considering just the constant editing that will take. So I decided I'd rather do a podcast where I can do things like this, like rank discographies, and go through little things like that. And I'll invite guests on. I think next week I'll have Tate on here and things like that, because overall it's going to be too complicated to just always make videos. But I do want to say I have a couple videos coming soon. I have my worst albums of 2020 coming very soon. It might actually be out. I don't know yet. I don't know if I'll be done editing it by the time I upload this. This is coming up like a couple days after I record it. But I hope that video is done. It would be great if it was done by then. But I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do in the next couple days. I've only recorded it. I haven't edited yet or transferred files yet. So I really need to get working on that. But nonetheless, I am here now. I am going to talk about a couple topics here. I'm also going to do, so I was originally doing a most anticipated of 2021. I might still do that as a separate video, but we're still going to discuss it here today. We're going to go through, so let's go through what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to go through some of the recent albums I've listened to, some things like that. And this first episode is going to be solo. I'll invite other people on every once in a while here, but we're going to go through recent listens. Then we're going to go to my most anticipated albums of 2021. We're going to go into since I was planning to do this a couple weeks ago, since Man on the Moon 3 came out around a month ago now, I'm going to rank all 7 Kid Cudi albums, not including Kids See Ghosts. And then finally, at the end of this video, to celebrate his legacy in life, I'm going to rank all MF Doom's albums, and I'll discuss more what those look like when I get to them. But yeah, so I don't know how long this video will be. I don't know how much I'll get through, but I want to try and get through these 3 topics today because it might not take too long. And yeah, I have opinions on all of them. But let's start with my recent listens. And besides MF Doom, who's the most recent artist, I'm also going to go through recent listens and future listens that I plan to do. Besides MF Doom, a lot of my recent listens were a lot of these albums coming from artists that had very short or long or just short-lived discographies. So a couple albums I got through. Actually, let's start with some of these. I finally got through Lil Wayne's entire discography. From The Block is Hot to Funeral. I had already heard Funeral and The Block is Hot actually prior to it, but I got through Lights Out, 500 Degrees, The Carter Series, Rebirth, I'm Not a Human Beings, Freebie album, all those guys. And truth be told, I think the albums that really stood out to me was, I think Rebirth is one of the worst albums I've ever heard, to be honest. And I thought that the Carter Series has got to be one of my favorite new series in hip-hop. He really did do great with all those, especially Carter 4. I was surprised to be, I think, my favorite Wayne album. I do think that Carter 3 is more influential and Carter 2 is a little more consistent, but my thing with Carter 2 is I think it doesn't need to be as long as it is. And Carter 3 is good if it just didn't have a couple tracks here and there in the middle. Like towards the end, tracks like P Monster just feel so useless and annoying to me, but everything else about that album was really enjoyable and great. Carter 4 to me was just consistent bangers. 6 Foot 7 Foot's probably one of my new favorite rap songs ever now. So I really love Carter 4. That was the one that really got me, but I thought Carter 3 and 2 were also great. And the Carter 5 and the first Carter were pretty great too, but those are the ones that really stuck out to me. So in terms of artists that were short, because I mentioned I listened to a lot of artists who only had 1 or 2 albums, I got through Big L's albums, so Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous and The Big Picture. Mostly Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous was the one that really struck me. I really enjoyed The Big Picture, but it definitely didn't feel like I was done by the time he passed away. Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, though, one of my favorite albums. Incredible lyricism, incredible everything about that he did. He was so good at making all 12 tracks feel useful in their own ways. I was so happy I finally listened to this. I listened to The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by Lauryn Hill, and I was so happy with it. I loved it. It is in the 13th A+ album for me. I honestly loved everything Lauryn did here. The way she's able to fuse these R&B swing, hip hop, pop, all of these fusions. It sounds incredible. Her singing is beyond beautiful, but her rapping is so good too. And doo-wop is, man, that's songs like every song on it was really perfect in my opinion. I really didn't have any issues with it as a project. I honestly loved every minute of it. And it also Lost Ones. That is one of the best intros I've ever heard. Incredible. Great album, A+ album to me. Next, I listened to Immortal Technique's discography, which I was very happy I did. Both Revolutionary volumes were great, but specifically Volume 2 I think is one of my new favorite 2000s album. I think it's made my top 5. Man, I loved Revolutionary Volume 2. I felt like every track was so aggressive and so in its own like messages. Obviously You Never Know is amazing to me. And I do like Revolutionary Volume 1 a lot too, but Volume 1 definitely felt lower budget. Considering Revolutionary Volume 2 is an underground album, it is immaculately, genuinely a masterpiece in my opinion. If you have not listened to specifically Volume 2, please do. Volume 1 is also amazing, but Volume 2, that was a credible album. And Third World was really great too. I didn't love it as much as the other two, but I did really enjoy it. I listened to Eazy-E's discography and I was a little let down. I really loved Easy Does It. I thought that was a really fun gangster rap album and it kept in the same vein as Straight Outta Compton. But when it came to It's On, I was really disappointed to hear that it wasn't. I don't know why this is meant to be dedicated to Dre, because there are the disses here and there, but overall it just felt in a lot of ways like a lot of just these looped cuts that are very annoying. It didn't need to be as 37 minutes. It could have been easily 20 minutes and it would have been more enjoyable, but I still enjoyed it, I guess, as a whole. Straight Off the Streets of Motherfucking Compton was just okay to me. It definitely was a posthumous album. I definitely felt like most of the tracks were cut, did not mean to be on the other albums, and overall it was pretty much most tracks on it I didn't really care for. I listened to Big Pun's album, Capital Punishment. I thought that was pretty great. I didn't have much to say on it. I just thought it was, my one issue with Capital Punishment was I felt like he wore his Biggie influences like way too much on his sleeve. It was so obvious that he was influenced by Biggie, and it was a little annoying at some points, but I still enjoyed it as a project. It was just more on the mid side for me, but I mean, not in my top 50 favorites, but it's up there still. I really did enjoy it as a project. Then I listened to MF Doom, so yeah. But future listens, I'll open up my Google Doc. That's albums I'm going to listen to. I have a lot of really cool artists I plan to listen to in the next couple weeks or so. Now that I'm back in school, I can't listen to as much, but currently right now I'm going to be listening to A Tribe Called Quest next. I've been wanting to do this for a while. They have an amazing discography, I've heard. I haven't heard anything else from them. I've only heard Check the Rhyme from them, but things like The Low End Theory, Midnight Marauders, and Thank You for Your Service, or We'll Take It From Here, Thank You for Your Service are albums I'm really excited for. I also have Danny Brown, Lupe Fiasco, Rockham are the next 3 after that. So yeah, of all those albums, I think the one I'm most excited for is Atrocity Exhibition. I cannot wait to hear that from Danny Brown. That sounds like it's going to be like A+. We'll see, though. You can follow my Twitter if you want to know if that'll be an A+, or I'll probably discuss it on here next time. But nonetheless, that is my recent listens. That is what I'm on right now. I am very entertained by what I've been listening to. I've been listening to a lot of great music lately. I haven't been going into a lot of bad music, so yeah. But now let's go into some music that's coming out in our normal world. I'm going to look at albums coming out in 2021 that I'm really excited to hear, because overall, if I do look at 2021, in the same vein that this could be like one of the biggest movie years ever if they're able to release movies, this could be one of the biggest rap years ever if albums are able to release. If we look at January, a good chunk of these aren't confirmed yet. One thing that is exciting, though, is that I haven't heard it yet, but the Griselda and Black Soprano Conflicted soundtrack came out today, and I haven't heard it yet. I might listen to that. I'm really excited to hear that, because it's the first artist this year that I'm really aware of that's come to drop, and I love Griselda. I love what they've done. Black Soprano Family, their work with Benny the Butcher is great as well, so I'm really interested to hear that. We'll see if that's great or not, and yeah, I'm excited to hear it. Other than that, if we're looking at January, the things that are really, really catch my eye that I'm excited for, I do think Rick Ross and Trippie Redd are interesting, but Drake's Certified Lover Boy is supposed to drop this month. I don't know if it will. I hope it will, but Drake, okay, I'll get this out of the way real quick. I'm going to drink a quick. I don't love a lot of Drake. I don't love a lot of modern Drake, to be honest. I think if we look at recently, he hasn't had like a super revisitable album since If You're Reading This. He has had really solid singles here and there, I thought. And so we're talking singles, I think Nice for What, God's Plan, Passion Fruit. That was before those, but and I thought Laugh Now Cry Later was really enjoyable. I think in its own vein, despite how lazy it is, 2C Slide can be fun, but as a whole, Drake really has some work to do in that realm of albums in terms of good. But Certified Lover Boy has me excited for a couple reasons. Number one, Laugh Now Cry Later is one of my favorite songs. Oh, that's another video coming. My top 50 favorite songs of 2020 is coming, and Laugh Now Cry Later is on it. It's a song I really enjoy because I really love Drake's whole sound that he went for on the track. It was really enjoyable. It was really nice. It felt a lot more like he wasn't taking himself too seriously, but it felt like in the same vein, he was just having fun. And one thing that really makes me excited to hear what he has to offer in Certified Lover Boy is if he goes to the same route he went on If You're Reading This and Take Care, then he's going to have this album where he barely cares what other people think. He's going to go for aggressive tracks. He's going to go for also maybe more laid-back tracks. But at the same time, I'm just excited to hear this. What I don't want, there are a couple things I don't want with Certified Lover Boy. I don't want it to be too long. I think it only needs to be an hour, maybe a little bit over. If it's going to an hour and 20 minutes, it's reaching for me because overall, one of the problems I've had with his recent albums is they've just been so long and so uselessly long. I don't think there's a justifiable reason Scorpion needs to be 25 tracks, More Life 22 tracks, and Views 20 tracks, when in reality, I only enjoyed like 7 of all those. Like, of all 3 projects combined, there are only 7 revisitable songs in my opinion. But overall, if he just really brings a new sound to the table and he just does what Drake does best, I'd be enjoyed to hear it. Because I love old Drake. I think that if we're talking Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, If You're Reading This era, those 3 albums back to back. I mean, I know If You're Reading This is a mixtape, but I'm counting it as an album for now. Those 3 back to back was just a great run, and I just really want him to come back to those sounds, and because he's a great artist, he's a good artist. I just don't like his recent projects. But if he does really well with this one, I'll give it to him, and I will give Drake another chance for when this happens. And I'll just be interested to hear it if he does well on it. Next in February, I mean, we only have February and March albums confirmed, and most of these don't have that interesting projects, but February is supposed to have Bryson Tiller's Anniversary Deluxe, which I'll listen to. I don't know much to say on that. That'll be interesting to me. Pusha T and Redman are both supposed to drop in March. I haven't listened to Redman before, so I have to get to that eventually. But Pusha T's King Push, I'm excited for that. It has been it's been since Daytona since we've had a solo Push album. And Daytona's an amazing album, so I'd be very interested to hear how he handles King Push, and if that's a good project or not, we'll see. It's a good music, Def Jam record, so it's from big labels there. If we do look at these records here on this list, if you can pull up the if you're listening to this on like Spotify, I don't know if I'll get it up there yet, but if you're looking at it, just look up 2021 in music or in hip hop music, and it's a Wikipedia page. If I do look at these artists, there are a couple notable faces in my opinion. I think a 2 Chainz Lil Wayne project would be cool. I haven't listened to Call Grove, though, the first one, so I'd have to hear that first. First thing that's really noticeable, though, if we're looking at these first few, is 50 Cent's Street King Immortal is supposed to drop. Now, do I think it will drop? Most likely no, because if you do really look at it, 50 Cent hasn't released an album in 6 years. That last one was Animal Ambition, which I think is personally an overhated album. It's not overrated. People hate on that one too much. It's not amazing. Don't get me wrong. There are issues with it, but I've always really enjoyed just the sound of it. I thought he delivered a couple fun bangers on it. It isn't great, but I'm personally not somebody who ever really disliked 50 Cent. I don't love Before I Self-Destruct, but everything before that and after that has been okay to me. Especially Get Rich or Die Trying and The Massacre, both great albums in my opinion, especially Get Rich. But Street King Immortal, if that comes out, I'll be interested to hear it. I don't know if 50 Cent has it in him anymore to make a great album, and it's been many years, so this could end up being another what was it? Everything's Corrupt by Ice Cube, where he was gone for like 8 years, and then he came with this album, just this super subpar mediocre album. Now, I do have to give it to 50 Cent that he hasn't been in the hip-hop game nearly as long as Ice Cube, and he hasn't made nearly as many weak records as Ice Cube. He hasn't made nearly as many records as Ice Cube, but before Everything's Corrupt, Cube wasn't in general a consistent artist. He already had released a lot of weak projects before that. So I'll be interested to hear that, and hopefully it'll be good. I don't know what it'll be like, but hey, I will give it a chance when I hear it. Shrinking Immortal, hopefully that comes out at some point. That'll be entertaining. And by the way, I kind of am going through these in alphabetical order, so we'll see. Obviously, a project that I'm not quite too excited for yet because I just haven't listened to his projects is A$AP Rocky's All Smiles. That's been one of the most anticipated of the year. I've yet to listen to A$AP's discography. I do want to mention, though, Anderson .Paak is coming, which is exciting. I've yet to listen to A$AP's discography, so I have to do that before really talking about All Smiles, but I'm excited to hear that. I'm just excited to hear more A$AP Rocky. I guess Cardi B is coming out. I don't really care too much about it. If we're looking at this, DMX is supposed to come with an album, which that will be interesting. I don't know if that'll happen because he's been kind of off the game for a while. But, Snoop Dogg and his battle with Snoop Dogg got some attention. So who knows? Maybe it'll come out. I don't know. If it does come out, I'll listen to it. But next we have Dr. Dre, whom if he drops might be my most anticipated record of the year after Kendrick Lamar. Because let me get this out of the way. I love Dre. I'm an old guy. I'm not actually old. I'm like 15. But in terms of hip-hop love, a lot of my favorites are from the 90s, early 2000s era. And Dre has got to be up there as one of my favorites. Because if you're looking at Dre's discography, you have The Chronic. I have a vinyl for that. It is one of my favorite albums. Obviously, it's most people's favorite album. One of their favorite albums, honestly. If it's not, then you just haven't heard it. Then you have, what's a set? Oh, you have 2001. 2001, that one's great too. That's an amazing record that doesn't get enough attention as much as it had like 5 amazing songs from it. Like, come on, very few albums have it's a really classic album to me. And then Compton, coming out 16 years after 2001, while it was vastly different sonically, I felt it was really great. I felt like it had a really nice sound to it. Dre's production was layered and great. So him coming with a 4th album in 2021 is beyond exciting. Now, I do want to mention this real quick. Prayers to Dr. Dre that he gets better after his recent aneurysm. Maybe as I upload this, he'll already be better, but I hope he gets better soon. But more my point is that Dr. Dre, he is one of the best in the game. He is really an important artist if you really look at his whole, track list and track record as a whole. But I will be very interested to hear him come out with a new album. I really want him to. I really want him to come back, make a big comeback for everyone. I want him to really hype this one up more. And I think we had the confirmation that it was an actual album when Eminem said that Guns Blazing was for Dr. Dre's album. It wasn't initially for Eminem's album. So yeah, that'll be exciting when that comes out. Now there is another project on here that I'm not going to talk too much about, but supposedly Monster 2 is coming out. I don't know if that'll happen. That could very likely not happen, but people love Monster, so I haven't heard it, so I can't really judge, but that'll be exciting if there is a Monster 2. Next, if I really look at all these, Isaiah Rashad, I haven't listened to much of him, but I know people are very excited for The House is Burning, so it's one of the most anticipated of the year in the hip-hop community, so I'm very excited for that. Next, we have J. Cole's The Fall Off. I don't know what's going on with this record here. We've been hyped it up for like a couple years now, and I'm happy he's spending time with it. I am, because I don't think KOD was spent enough time on this. I feel like KOD should have been released over the summer, and he should have given itself more work, because I do think that is easily Cole's worst record to date. It's not bad. It has good moments on it, but I think in terms of if we're talking Cole albums that have very few revisitable tracks, I'd say KOD has very little to no revisitable tracks in it. I thought ATM's fun, but it's not too revisitable for me. But The Fall Off is exciting because of what we're supposed to get before it. We are supposed to get The Off Season, that's another one he's been hyping for years now. He hyped it with Middle Child, was supposed to be a single from it, then it just went to Revenge of the Dreamers 3. But the off season is exciting because I love Cole. Okay, here's something I am personal with. I love mixtape J. Cole. I think it's the best J. Cole. Well, mostly what I'd say is I think concept J. Cole is the worst J. Cole. More that. The reason why 2014 Forest Hill Drive to me is by far Cole's best album is because it wasn't focused on a center idea. It was focused more on just making great track after great track after so much content on that album. Every track felt so purposeful and real. The production was layered and great. It felt like there was so much love and effort put into 2014 Forest Still Drives, and he put everything he had into it, which in my opinion, it's one of my favorite hip-hop albums ever. But recently with KOD, he really, I do think if you do really look at it, For Your Eyes Only does kind of focus on its one concept, and it is kind of more content-focused album. Or it's not focused on every track being on its own thing. It's kind of focused on being on one sound, one idea, and it still is great to me. But KOD was really bad. It wasn't bad to me. It was okay to me because it was just so focused on being this album about prophesizing hip-hop, and now he is the Grand King, and it just felt weird to me. But I really want him to come out with some great stuff with the off season and It's a Boy. I'm hoping the off season doesn't get a ton of hype. I hope he makes this, and then in the next couple months or so he just drops it, because I just want to hear it. I just want to hear really good J. Cole now, because this man, I didn't love KOD, I admit that, but everything he's done after that, fantastic. You have great verses, great singles here left and right. I mean, this man's a legend in my opinion. I don't love everything he's put out, but he in the eyes of hip-hop is a legend. So Fall Off got to be one of the most anticipated records of the year, probably up in the top 3. So I'm really excited to hear that when that finally comes out. I think there's a lot that could be done with that. J-Rock's got an album. I need to listen to J-Rock's albums. Juice WRLD is meant to have a second posthumous release in 2021, and I don't care for it. I don't think artists should be given a second posthumous release. That just feels off to me. It feels weird to me, but who knows? Maybe it'll be really good. I don't know. Kanye West with Donda. Now, here's my thing with Donda. I don't know if this is going to come out in 2021 because I don't know when Kanye is going to drop. He's Kanye. He'll do it when he wants, but fact remains is that Donda is one of my most anticipated of the year if it is going to come out in 2021. Kanye has had such a entertaining okay, let me just break it down like this. Kanye's up there. He's really up there. I think for everyone he should be up there, and a lot of people call him the greatest. He's just probably top 3 for me. But when you look at it, Kanye's just one of the most watched artists around. And look, I don't love Jesus is King. I think it is overhated, but I don't love it. But I really do think if he really, really focuses, Donda could be pretty amazing. I hope as he's delayed this, he's been spending time on it, and it's not just sitting there, because that would really piss me off. But I know he had the recent divorce with Kim, and I don't really want to rush him on this because I would like it to take a little bit of time for him to just really work on it. But who knows? Who knows what Kanye is going to bring on Donda? It's really up in the air of what this album's going to sound like. Probably Christian, because he's been really in that lane lately, but who knows? I really do hope we do hear something from Donda, or just something from Ye in general soon, because he's been suffering a lot of L's lately. Next, we have Kendrick Lamar, and they've given his album a title on this, and I don't like it. The album on the Wikipedia is meant to be Duckworth. I think that is a bad title. I don't think that's a good title at all, because I think the thing about titling it Duckworth, in all caps specifically, is it's just taking the final. If it is going to be called that, it better be like a direct sequel to Damn. If it's going to be called Duckworth, it better be. I don't want him to do a sequel album. I mean, unless he's going to do a sequel in the way that, in my personal opinion, Good Kid, Mad City. He mentioned in an interview Good Kid, Mad City 2 would never happen because that would make the whole concept corny. And my response to that was, To Pimp a Butterfly in a lot of ways is kind of a sequel. I mean, it's a sequel in the sense that they're both about Kendrick Lamar as a person. So if somebody makes 2 story albums about themselves, do they coincide in the same sequel universe? I don't know. But in my opinion, I don't think what I'm worried about is Kendrick making a sequel album conceptually, right? Because he's not, like, if he does that, it would be cool to me, because if you kind of follow up some of the sound, some of the, like, the thematic, like, lyrical themes on those other albums, of course, I'd love that. He's a great artist. But if he does it sonically, it becomes boring then. Because here's my thing. I am going to be fine if by 6 or 7 albums, Kendrick is not going to be doing a different sound every album, because that's not just possible. For an artist that wants to stay in the lane of hip hop for as long as he probably can, he's not going to want to go and do, like, like he's already done the whole jazz sound. To Pimp a Butterfly is almost a semi-jazz album. He's done hardcore hip-hop with Good Kid, Mad City. And in its own lane, Section 80 and Damn, they're all in hip-hop, really, the realm. But I really do think that if he goes for... And now I'm a little nervous about the rock sound because I don't think many artists have made great rock-rap fusion albums. Some of my least favorite albums ever are rock-rap fusion, like Kid Cudi's Speed and Bolt Heaven, which I'll get to later. And other little things like Supermarket by Logic, Rebirth by Lil Wayne. It doesn't work when they do that. But Kendrick, I trust Kendrick as an artist. I trust him to be really good with his sound. I trust him to get really talented people on this. So I'm really just up in the air of what he wants to do in this. And I'm on board for whatever Kendrick wants to do. It's taken so long to make. So that can confirm to me that he's spending his time on this. And while it is in lockdown, because he did mention that without COVID, it would have been out by now. But I think my thing is that with lockdown, if he continues to just push great verses and great tracks to be on this new album, I'm down for it. If I have to wait another couple months for the album, I'm okay with that. I would just like to hear it in the first in the first semester of 2021. That'd be exciting to me. I won't be too upset if I don't hear it, but I need new Kendrick, man. I need new Kendrick. It's been like 4 years now, so longest break between two Kendrick albums ever. It wouldn't have been without COVID, but it is now. So I'm really excited for that one. Next we have Kid Cudi. We're on the K's now with Intergalactic. I wasn't initially excited for this until I listened to Man on the Moon 3. I won't discuss Cudi much now because I'm going to discuss him later in this video. But it is very exciting to see Intergalactic is coming out. It's supposed to be a Netflix fusion as well, and he hasn't really... I do think it's interesting because he's been hyping this longer than he hyped Man on the Moon 3, but he released Man on the Moon 3, so we'll know. But I loved Man on the Moon 3 so much, so I'd be so excited for Intergalactic. I don't know when this will come out. I'm fine if it comes out latter half of 2021, but who knows what we'll be hearing here. Next on here, Lil Uzi Vert's supposed to come with Love is Rage 3. I don't know if I care because I didn't like the second one. But next I have Lil Wayne, who I'm only recently a fan of. But we have what is supposed to come. I think it'll be coming pretty soon. I Am Not a Human Being 3. He teased this on No Ceilings 3. Now here's my opinion on this. I never am going to be too excited for a Wayne album if it doesn't say The Carter in the title, because Wayne isn't exactly the type of artist to do great with other Carter projects. I think his 5 strongest albums are all just the Carter albums. I think if I ranked all of his albums, the top 5 are just the Carter. After that, though, it'd just be like... But I'm Not a Human Being would be the next best thing he did. I liked the sequel a lot. I hated the outro track, but I liked the rest of it a lot. Of being just these big trap bangers with cool features, I enjoyed it a lot. I don't love the first one. I think it's okay, but I really like the second one. So 3 I'm excited for. I don't know what to expect from this. I think Wayne is starting to become an artist who really does have a cool sound. I just don't want him to do Funeral again. I'll be interested to hear I'm Not a Human Being 3. If he goes in the same lane as the second one, it could be entertaining. If he goes in like the lane of Uproar, it'd be good, because that was a great banger. The Carter 6, though, this is supposed to come out. If it doesn't, I'm not going to be upset, because I would love him to spend time on the Carter 6. And I don't know if he's ever done 2 albums in 1 year, so I don't know how I'll expect both. But the Carter 6, I'm just excited for, man. It's another Carter album. If he just does great with it, it'll be good. I don't want it to be as long as the Carter 5, because I think that's one of the problems the Carter 5 faced, was being like this 23-track, hour-and-a-half album. So much of it is so skippable, but there's so much I loved on it. So I really want him to go... I want him to try really hard with this one, because I think he can make something pretty amazing. Yeah, I'm excited to hear what the Carter 6 and I'm Not a Human Being 3 bring. Apparently, other little things like Migos is supposed to drop. Meek Mill, I knew about Meek Mill. Macklemore, I don't know if I care about Macklemore dropping, but Nas, I don't think he's gonna drop. But if he does, I'm excited. For Dynasty, that shouldn't be the title, because that's already isn't that already a... That's a J album already. That shouldn't happen. I don't know. Nav and Metro Boomin are supposed to come with Perfect Timing 2. Yeah, the first isn't good, so the second won't probably be either. Pink Friday 2 is supposed to come. I highly doubt that, but okay. There are a lot of other interesting albums on here. There's one that I really need to listen to the artist before I get excited for, but all old fans are excited for Only Built for Cuban Links Part 3. This will probably be the most exciting thing any member of the Wu-Tang Clan has done in years. So that'll be very exciting when that drops. Schoolboy Q, Ski Mask the Slump God. I'm not going to listen to Snoop Dogg's new album. I don't really care for the guy anymore. But SZA, I need to listen to him and really get excited. Oh, here's two. There are two albums right here that I'm very excited for both. I hope they both drop this year. We got Travis Scott with Utopia. I don't love... I'm not a big fan of... what is it? I'm not a big fan of the recent track he did. What was the... Oh, no, it was Franchise. Yeah, I wasn't big on Franchise. But the thing about it is I didn't like it as a single, but I did really like a lot of other singles that he did. I thought there were a lot of other really great singles that he was able to do in the past times, like Highest in the Room. I really enjoyed the Scott single with Cudi. I thought that was great. And I really liked The Plan. I didn't love it, but I thought it was really good. So I think the thing about it is that when I really look at, I was just reading something at the bottom, but Post Malone, who I didn't mention, but I want him to drop, Utopia is the next Travis album, and I'm excited for it. Why am I excited for it? Because it's Travis Scott. The guy has so much talent. He has so much under his name. Rodeo is one of my favorite albums. I'm very interested to hear this. I don't want him to go with another Astro Worlds, which he's not one to super repeat sounds, so I won't be too upset with that. But within the past 5-6 years, he's only given us 3 albums. So the fact remains that he has been trying to give great albums, and while the only one I find too revisitable is Rodeo, I'm excited. I want him to really bring forth his best talent with Utopia. It was going to be a masterpiece? No, but if it's good, I'm down with it, So yeah, I don't have much to say on it. I do want Utopia to drop. I think it'll be entertaining. I do want to say that if you go listen to Minds Collide, the podcast with CDTV and Black Speakies, they have a really interesting bit on Utopia and Travis Scott in general, modern Travis Scott, so that'll be exciting. Just go watch that. Travis Scott and Kid Cuddy are supposed to come with the Scotts this year. I'd be very, very... They confirmed that not too long ago. I'd be so excited for that to happen. Because if I really look at it, these are both really good artists. I'm actually more excited for the Cuddy side of it now, because I think that Man in the Moon 3 is better than anything Travis has done since Rodeo. So... yeah, that'll be exciting, but I did think that the single was pretty great. Other than that, though, there's not a ton other on these lists. I think there being a new Exhibit album is pretty cool. Yeah, other than that, though, other than those, that's mostly who I'm excited for. I don't really have anybody else. There are a couple artists who haven't confirmed releases that I'm excited for. I'm very excited for the hopeful release of Tyler, the Creator. Not been spoken about by anybody, but he does a almost yearly or every 2-year consistency. He's been that way for his entire catalog. So it'd be weird for him to not come in 2021, and I would be so excited for it. I think his newer albums are his best work. I thought Flower Boy and Igor are combined one of the best 2 back-to-back album runs in hip-hop history. In fact, if you go visit my 50 favorite albums, which I haven't updated in a while, I need to update that. They're back-to-back. They're in this. It's like they're right next to each other, and because I put Flower Boy above it, but Igor's like a notch below it. He's delivered some great albums recently, and he's become a pretty loved figure in hip-hop, one of the most loved, honestly. So, yeah, that's everything I'm really excited for in 2021. There are a couple others I think I skipped, because there's one I'm thinking about now. I already talked about Roddy Ricch. Feed the Streets 3 is what he's supposed to come with. I hope he comes with the... I think it's Love Is Barely Real Anymore. If that comes, I will be so excited for that. I thought that Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial was a great trap record. So, yeah, I'm really excited for a lot of these albums. If there's anybody I missed, let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, those are all the albums I'm very excited for in 2021 so far, at least. Maybe there'll be some coming soon, but I don't know. I'm really excited for a lot of those, though. So, yeah. So, next what I plan to talk about here is this might not take as long, but I want to rank the Kid Cuddy discography. Now, what am I counting for this? Well, I'm only going to be counting 7 albums here. Now, you might be thinking, oh, aren't there 9 Kid Cudi albums? Well, what I won't be ranking is I will not be ranking collaborative or I won't be ranking collaborative projects. That just seems weird to me. And I won't be ranking Kids See Ghosts. because I don't think it's fair to rank that as a Kid Cudi project because it wouldn't be great. Wouldn't be great without Cudi, but it wouldn't be great without Kanye, so I won't be counting that. I won't be counting Kid Named Cudi. I haven't heard it before. And I will not be counting Wizard. I'm only going to be counting the 7 official studio albums by Kid Cudi. So Man on the Moon, End of Day, to Man on the Moon 3, The Chosen. I'm going to go through all 7 of them. I do not have a popular ranking for these. And I think almost all of my opinions on Kid Cudi albums are a little sensitive in some regards. But yeah, 7 albums here. Don't have much anything else to say. I'll start with my first one, which is my number 7. Pretty obvious for most people. Speed and Bullet to Heaven by Kid Cudi. I mean, I don't know why I said by Kid Cudi because they're all Kid Cudi. Speed and Bullet to Heaven was not good when it came out, and it still isn't. My overall thoughts on this are very negative. In fact, like, very few albums do I dislike as much as I dislike Speed and Bullet to Heaven. And in fact, I think it is an example of a F album. I think the album is a total F because I do not enjoy a thing about it. I mean that in every regard of the word. There's not an enjoyable track on the entire project. I do think that there are mediocre moments. Maybe Speed and Bullet to Heaven is such a rough listen because here's what he does here. My first problem with Speed and Bullet to Heaven is the freaking length. It is a 2 CD album where he goes for the first CD for a little over an hour of just annoying rock fusion, awful cuts, and then you go into this like weird like acoustic demo tape for some reason, and it's really unlistenable through. My main problem with we're talking with side A is everything, but other than everything, the fact that he just some of my problems with this end up being the way it all ends up becoming like it's all these rock rap fusion, and there are a couple points where he has Beavis and Butthead on it. That's probably the reason I gave this an F. Just those cuts on this. It is such a long, obnoxious album with it just feels so aimless, to be honest. It never feels like it really reaches anywhere. I do enjoy like a couple moments on it. I think there are cool moments on the intro, maybe. That's kind of it, though. It's kind of not good album, especially Judgmental Cunt, which is one of the worst rap songs ever, to be honest. I don't ever want to talk about Speed and Bullet to Heaven. It is a pretty awful album. I don't really have anything nice to say about it. Fuck this album. It is pretty awful. Next, I have Indie Cud at my number 9 or my number 6 spot. You might think that I'm going to put it here, but I'm going to be like, oh, the rest are great. No! Indie Cud is indie trash. That is harsh. I don't know if it's trash, but is it good? No. My problem with Indie Cud ranges at the fact of how long it is again. I think there are so many cuts on this that are like 5-6 minutes, and Lord and mercy, they could be so much shorter. Now, I do think that there are a couple pretty solid cuts on this. I thought Solo Dolo was a good cut. I liked Red Eye. I like Bees of the RZA. Thought Cold Blooded was entertaining. And that, though, it's pretty boring. It's pretty long. It's one of these albums where they went with just... I think this could have been like 50 minutes to an hour, but he went with this hour and 15 runtime where he just does the same thing over and over again. Now, maybe he could have just removed afterwards, and then it would be way better, but overall, my opinions on Indie Cud, I just don't enjoy it. I don't think the experimentation on it is at all interesting. I think in terms of a third album, considering how much I enjoy the first Man on the Moons, I just think it's a really weak project for Cudi. I enjoy tracks on this, especially Solo Dolo Part 2, but other than that, though, nah, not really worth it. At my number 5 spot, I have Satellite Flight, The Journey to Mother Moon. This is a pretty mid album for me. I like tracks on it. I think there are some cool moments. I think most of it's entertaining. I like some of the instrumental cuts on this. I just think if I really do review it, I think in a lot of ways he could have spent more time on this. He could have spent a lot more time trying to flesh out these tracks, trying to add more vocals to the beats he makes. Overall, though, it could have just been a more interesting project if he really spent more time on it. I don't dislike it for that reason. That's not at all a reason that I dislike it as a project. I just think it's not really ready. I do enjoy it as a whole, though. I don't think it's a bad album. I think it is better than the last two I discussed, but it does have its issues here and there. My number 4 spot, I have Passion, Pain, and Demon Slain. I loved this when I first listened to it, but I don't know if it's really held up perfectly to me. I gave it like an A- when I first heard it, and I'm more looking at a B+ now because I love it as a project. I just think it is a little long to me. My things with this project I really like. I really love how he really went back to an older sound for him. He really tried to home in on what's the best of Kid Cudi to bring kind of a comeback after the failure of Speed and Bullet. And there's a lot of really entertaining tracks that are visited very often, like Surfin' and Rose Golden. That's an amazing song. Overall, I think that it does have its issues here and there, but I do overall quite enjoy what Passion Pain had to offer. And I think in terms of other Kid Cudi project, it's a lot better. So one thing I will have to say is I do really love all these longer cuts, but I do think a couple of them could be shortened down. Not all of them need to be these 5-6 minute long songs. I don't think there's any song under here that goes. There's one time it goes below the 4-minute runtime, and that doesn't feel necessary to me. Or no, 2 times where it goes under 4 minutes, but still enjoy it as a project. I just have like my little problems here and there. Overall, though, I do enjoy it. I think he does massively better than what followed it. Number 3. This is where I'm going to spark controversy with my top 3. Number 3. Man on the Moon, The End of Day. I'm putting that on my number 3. I think it is the worst Man on the Moon album, yes. Now, you might sit there and scowl at me and be like, it's easily his best. And whilst I can't hate somebody for thinking it's easily his best, because I do think in a lot of regards, in terms of influence, it's definitely the most impressive Cudi project. But to be perfectly honest, if I'm really talking in terms of consistency as an album and aging, I think the other 2 Man on the Moons are much better. In terms of aging, we don't know how the third one will hold up, but if we're talking about, we can look at how much 2 and 1 held up. And personally, I don't think 1 held up perfectly. I like it as a project quite a lot. I think there are a lot of really solid tracks on it overall. And I do think it is a very influential album in the whole world of mental health on hip-hop. But I think there are a couple tracks on this that just, for me, they never aged perfectly. I don't think Heart of a Lion is very enjoyable. I don't think the original Solo Dolo was the most interesting track for me. My World is enjoyable, but it is a little cringy at points. Intergalactic is a pretty dated track, to be honest, and I do not like that hook very much. And I do think Make Her Say is a kind of bad song, but then there are cuts on here that I have to remember, like Pursuit of Happiness, which is one of my favorite songs of all time, and Man on the Moon, and Soundtrack to My Life, and In My Dreams, and Day and Night, that are basically perfect songs. I think it is a solid album, but I do think in a lot of regards it gets overrated for its influence. So I don't think it's as good as some people parade it to be. I definitely don't think it's weak, though. But I do think he's had better. Because my number 2 spot would be Man on the Moon 2. The sequel, Man on the Moon, I think is better than the first. Now, this isn't a popular opinion, but I think if we're talking albums that are just more consistent, better aged, Legend of Mr. Rager takes the cake for me over The End of Day, because The End of Day is great, but man, there's so many he's really able to every single track is great, in my opinion, on the second one. I really love this as an album. I think there are a lot of tracks since like Mr. Rager, Ghost, These Worries, Marijuana, Mojo So Dope, Erase Me, Wildin' Cause I'm Young. So many cuts I love on this as an album. And Revolvev is an amazing track as well. There's so much that's really impressive about the entire Man on the Moon 3. And while I cannot say that, I do think in terms of influence, the first one is a lot better. I think in a lot of ways, Man on the Moon 2 is as impressive, if not a better album. I really love Man on the Moon 2. I thought this was a great listen. I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it. And yeah, It's not my number one, though. Surprisingly, my favorite Kid Cudi album is Man on the Moon 3, The Chosen. I think this is Cudi's best album, and I don't think it's by a close one. I think this is a vastly better project than the other Man on the Moons, because Man on the Moon 3, he spent so much of his heart and soul into this as a project. It is the most listenable Kid Cudi album, in my opinion. I don't think there is one skip across the whole track list. Every track is consistent, entertaining, and lovable as a whole. Some of my favorite Cudi songs ever now: The Void, Elsie's Baby Boy, Solo Dolo Part 3, Sad People Show Out, Damaged, Dive, Lovin' Me, The Pale Moonlight, Rockstar Nights. I don't know if that's one of my favorites, but For the Kids. There is a lot. I just think he mastered his sound on The Chosen. I thought it was such an exciting album for me because I was so excited to finally hear a new Kid Cudi album. And he really just did his best with it. He just brought so much sound to it. Now, if it wouldn't be his best if I count Kids See Ghosts, that's easily his best. But I really do love everything he was able to do with Man on the Moon 3. It's really an incredible piece of work, in my opinion. And overall, it's one of my favorite albums of all time now. This is an incredible project. It made it on my number 3 spot on my favorite of 2020. Yeah, Man on the Moon 3, this is my favorite Kid Cudi album. That's surprising. It's not the most common opinion. My top 3 are pretty uncommon for Kid Cudi now, but I think one day 3 might be considered his best. Now it isn't because, it's new and people are more nostalgic for the first two, but I think one day people will give The Chosen the credit it deserves. I think this was an incredible project for Cudi. Overall, though, yeah, my ranking goes Speedball to Heaven, Indie Cud, Satellite Flight, Passion Pain, Man on the Moon 1, Man on the Moon 2, and Man on the Moon 3. So, yeah, that's my ranking for Kid Cudi. I think he has a lot of great material. I do think his worst material is pretty freaking awful, but overall, I do really like Kid Cudi as an artist. I really do respect a lot of the work he's done, and I think he is a great artist overall. So, yeah, that's my ranking for all of Kid Cudi's projects. So, yeah. Okay, so we have now reached my fourth and final point, my final topic of today. We're going to go over an artist whom very suddenly passed away. I don't know how sudden actually it was, but we're talking about MF Doom, who passed away back in October, but we didn't know until New Year's Eve. I hadn't listened to much of MF Doom prior to that, so I got through all of his albums so I could just talk about him as an artist. And I went through 10 albums. Now, what I want to say right now is when I discuss him, I probably won't discuss his passing much because I'm just kind of doing this because I recently listened to it and I think it's a relevant topic. But one thing I will say is that I didn't get to one album because I don't know where to find it. It is Venomous Villain. I didn't listen to that. I can't find any Spotify version, so I didn't get to it. But I do plan to get to it at some point. Just for now, I'm counting 11 albums from MF Doom. Now, because I'm just counting 11 right now or not 11, 10. They're 10 because I'm not counting the other Victor Vaughn album. But there's still 10 albums. I won't discuss these as much because I think with Cudi, I've had a lot more time to sit with them. I've only had like a week to sit with most of these. So yeah, and a lot of them do to me. They do have the same praises and the same weaknesses and downfalls. There are 10 albums here, so this won't be too short. This won't be too long. But let's start with my 10th. My 10th ranking is Take Me to Your Leader, the King Ghidorah project from 2003. This is his second album. It had been 4 years since he made an album when this came out. And to be honest, if I was around at the time when this came out, I would have been a little let down because I don't think this is bad. I actually do think it's a good album still. But I think Take Me to Your Leader is definitely it's the weakest MF Doom. And when I say I'm going to count everything, even collaborative efforts, not just MF Doom albums, but Take Me to Your Leader, in my opinion, its flaws kind of come in when you look at it as a project that took 4 years to make. In a lot of senses, it feels a little lame to me. It feels like there could have been more entertaining elements to it, but he didn't really go for them. I do still like it, definitely as a project. I do think I Wonder is a pretty great song, but I think other than like I Wonder, I don't really find many tracks on this too revisitable. I do think it's good. I just think it is one of the weaker MF Doom projects. At my number 9 spot, I put Czarface meets Metalface, his most recent and final project. Czarface meets Metalface is his collaboration with Czarface, which Czarface is kind of the most it's the branch group, this rap super group made by the most uninteresting Wu-Tang member, Capadonna, I think. No, it's Inspectah Deck. Capadonna is the most uninteresting. You God, Capadonna, and Inspectah Deck are the most uninteresting. I still love them all, but like those three. But Czarface meets Metalface is from Inspectah Deck, it's the group is from Inspectah Deck, but they did a collaborative project with MF Doom, and I like it a lot as a project, but I think my only thing with this is if MF Doom is going to do a collaborative project, I don't think it should be with Czarface. Czarface is like this intense kind of grime hip-hop group, and Doom is not. Doom's sound is way too kind of relaxed for this sound and this style of an album. I do think in terms of we're targeting villainy, I do think it's a good choice to do Czarface meets like MF Doom. That's cool to me. But I think overall, it's just, I don't think it's sonically the best collaborative, but I still enjoy it. And I do still think there are a couple really enjoyable tracks across it. My 8th spot, I have Key to the Cuffs by JJ Doom, which I don't remember what the other guy's name was, but he did a collaborative project with another guy, and it's good. Is it amazing? Nah, but it's really enjoyable to me. I think Key to the Cuffs is definitely one of the more experimental MF Doom projects. He definitely went for a different, more kind of weird sound, and I like it at points, and I overall like it. I think in terms of projects with MF Doom, I think this one I just don't have as many tracks I want to go back to constantly. I like it a lot as an album, don't get me wrong, and I do think there's a lot of really solid moments on it. I just think if we're talking MF Doom projects, maybe it's because I listen to them pretty quickly, but I really enjoyed it as a project. I just have my issues here and there with it, and it doesn't have as many interesting tracks as some of these other ones do. If I'm going to be honest, I don't think I'm going to revisit much from this album. At my number 7, I know I'm going through these a little fast, I just don't have a lot to say for these lower ones. I have Nehruvian Doom, which is a project with Nehruvian Bishop. I really like this, surprisingly. I was surprised that I didn't find this one of his weaker projects. I really liked Nehruvian Doom. There are like minor things I think it could have been longer, and I do think that in a lot of points Nehruvian Bishop kind of got to take over the album a little too much, but I still like it. I still thought it was a really entertaining move for Doom and Nehruvian. I think there's a lot of tracks in this that are really content filled. I thought there was the one that's Great Things. That's got to be one of my favorite MF Doom tracks. There's 9 tracks. They're all really entertaining. If you haven't heard it, it's probably one of his most least popular albums. Go listen to it. It's a really enjoyable project, and I think both artists really did well with this. It is kind of going into this area where MF Doom is getting a little older. I'm in number 6 spot. I have a pretty, not exactly loved spot for this album, but my number 6, I put Vaudeville Villain, the Victor Vaughn album. I do like the idea that Victor Vaughn is a totally different villain. He is completely different from Doom, and I do think in a lot of ways, yeah, it sounded like a new character for MF Doom. But my issues with the project overall were just, I felt like as I went, I really loved it at first, but I felt like as it went on, I just stopped finding a lot of the tracks super like fun and interesting. I felt like as it went on, the tracks started to get a little repetitive to me and a little, honestly, in a little points, kind of boring. I don't think it's like a bad album in any sense. I think it's a solid project still, and I do really love it as a project. But I think as a whole, as it got to the end, I just stopped finding a lot of the albums or a lot of the tracks very interesting. I do like it. Don't get me wrong. I don't have anything against it, and I think that it's definitely not a weak link for MF Doom. But I think in terms of albums, it does get a little bit of this overhype to me. But I do really love it as an album, and I don't want to call anything from him on overhyped because I love it all. But Vaudeville Villain is into my top 5. My number 5 is The Mouse and the Mask by Danger Doom. I was so surprised at how much I enjoyed The Mouse and the Mask. I enjoyed it because I felt like there was, in the same vents of in the same area like Mad Villainy, which is really successful at letting there be multiple personalities, with both Madlib and MF Doom having to come through. I felt like The Mouse and the Mask really had to bring that out, and I thought that both had their own really creative styles and sounds. I think there's a lot of more intense tracks on this. I think Danger Mouse's sound really fits nicely with MF Doom's rapping across. So there's a lot of cool skits, and overall, if we're talking like 40-minute collaborative albums, this was really solid to me, and I really enjoyed it overall. My number 4, I put Born Like This by it's just an MF Doom album. Finally, I've heard some people say this is just supposed to be by Doom, but most sources just say MF Doom, so I don't know. But Born Like This was released in 2009. It was kind of a comeback for him, and I really like it as a project. I like it because I feel like it's one of the more just aggressive, out there albums. It felt like in a lot of ways he just didn't care what the world thought. There's a lot of just really entertaining cuts on this. Some of the most experimental and outreaching cuts MF Doom's ever done. The cover art I just love for some reason. Overall, Born Like This, well, not as good as my top 3 for MF Doom. I really loved it. I thought he really did a great style with this. My top 3, though, are the 3 albums that I really fell in love with over the past couple of days. My number 3 is Operation Doomsday, his debut. I loved this album because I love classic lo-fi records that are solely based on jazz samples and things around that. And having the whole concept of him being a villain, too, just really intrigued me with it. I think the opening track, Doomsday, is one of my favorite hip-hop songs now. Like, I just love that track so much. I've replayed it so much. I feel like in a lot of senses, he just really came with his own style and sound back in 99, I think. And it was really entertaining to me. I think there's a lot of just fun cuts on this. His flow, like as usual, is just fantastic across most of the cuts, and the production as well, amazing too. Overall, while like there are like those little issues that like I see people having with this, I really enjoyed it as a project, and I do think it is up there as one of MF Doom's best albums to date. Operation Doomsday is still an amazing album to me, and I do really enjoyed it. I think it comes in as my 3rd favorite. My 2nd place is obviously Food. Should I just say Food or should I say Food? I'm going to say Food. Food came out in 2004, and I love this. This is one of my favorite albums now. I really love what he did with Food because I felt like it came with such a little bit of a lighter sound for me. I think in the same vein, one of my favorite sounds about like some of these top MF Doom albums is they have a little bit of a lighter sound. Food has like a very just kind of nice sound to it. I think it actually makes me hungry, like unintentionally. But certain tracks like Rap Snitch Niches has a really relevant theme that people have been talking about a lot recently. And Deep Fried Friends, love that song. There's so many good cuts across Food. And I think even though that it's like not a deep album in any sense, I really loved it as a project. I really hope the vinyl price goes down for this one because I'd love to own this as an album. I really loved it. My number 1, though, is not just an MF Doom album. I have to give credit to Mad Lib. You know what it is. It's Mad Villainy. You knew that when you heard I was ranking MF Doom. Mad Villainy is his best, and of course it is. There's a reason why this album has an 8.9 on Listened. It is such a genuine masterwork of hip-hop. If we're talking in nearly every sense of the word masterwork, Mad Villainy has it all. It's not... I love how quick a lot of the cuts are on this. I just love the fast-paced cuts he really did with this. I love the... I like the Quasimodo verses. I've heard some people criticize that, but I love some of those Quasimodo's verses. I think the thing with Mad Villainy that really struck me was I really loved the way Mad Villainy was able to successfully just bring its own kind of voice to the table, with both artists really contributing to a lot of tracks that just every track they get in there, they say what they want to say and then they get out. It's entertaining. All 22 tracks are really fun to me. I think Accordion is one of my favorite MF Doom. It's my favorite MF Doom opening, and it's one of my favorite openings in hip-hop. Man, that is such a cool beat. Like, Mad Lib did great with that beat. MF Doom's flows on this are the peak of his career. He just gave so many great flows on this. The features are great. I think Mad Lib's production was really out there and creative for its time period. This is my 2nd favorite album of 2004. My favorite is still The College Dropout, but Mad Villaini's up there as one of my favorite albums of the entire 2000s era. This was just an amazing underground record, and I just really loved what they were able to do with Mad Villainy. It is truly an incredible album. And I do think Food and Operation Doomsday have more of MF Doom's voice. Actually, no, I think Mad Villainy has much of MF Doom's voice, but if we're talking in terms of solo albums, they're in terms of his solo, they're better. But Mad Villainy really impressed me. That's my ranking of MF Doom, though. We'll go back through it. Take Me Near Later. It goes Take Me Near Later, Czarface Meets Metalface, Key to the Cuffs, Nehruvian Doom, Vaudeville Villain, The Mouse on the Mask, Born Like This, Operation Doomsday, Food, and finally, Mad Villainy. But yeah, that's my ranking of all these MF Doom albums. I think it'll change over time. I think I will revisit some of these albums more, and I'll not revisit some of them as much. Overall, though, this is just how I'm feeling on my ranking. I do really love all these albums. I think the middle 5 are all kind of like interchangeable with me. I think like I could move Born Like This below The Mouse and the Mask. I could move The Mouse and the Mask below Vaudeville Villain. I can move Vaudeville Villain below Nehruvian Doom. They're all kind of interchangeable for me, but overall I do really enjoy MF Doom's discography, and I thought he had a really consistent track list as well. And I have a lot of new favorite songs from him. If I'm going to go through some favorite songs by MF Doom, that would be nice to just give him some tribute. Favorite songs from him real quick. This wasn't on my schedule, but I have a playlist right now, so I can just go through some of the best on here. Accordion, I mentioned that earlier. The beat is fantastic, beautiful on it. On top of that, his flows are on peak. They're great here. Doomsday, another amazing track to me. Doomsday is really just low-key, fun sound to it. Had a great flow, sound to it. Everything about it just really works for me. Deep Fried Friends has the most catchy MF Doom beat, in my opinion. That beat's in my head all day. I love it. I think it was just a great move for him on the beat. Rap Snitch Niches is another great track as well. Rap Snitch Niches was successful in the sense that he, I really love just the, just like the rock kind of sound of this. I like the rock fusion to it, but on top of that, I found the whole sound to it and the whole message to it really cool too. Rhymes Like Dimes, I really loved as well. That's one of my favorites from Operation Doomsday. All Caps is a really great song. That's one of the best from Mad Villainy. Fancy Clown as well. That's that from Born Like This. The Mask, that's a pretty aggressive, lovable track. One Beer, I love that one. There's one I was thinking about. Antimatter, I thought that was good. Red and Gold, loved that. The Vaudeville Villain opening, pretty amazing right there. Beef Rap 2. There's one track, I can't find it though. It was the I thought Ohm from Nehruvian Doom was really good, and So Alone and Darkness as well. Great Things I mentioned earlier. Rhyme and Slang, yeah. There was a lot of really solid tracks from this whole MF Doom track list that I'm going to revisit pretty often over the next couple of years. But yeah, what do you guys think on MF Doom? What are your guys' favorite tracks from him? I really don't know if we should have a posthumous release from him. I think he kind of had his discography, and there's not really anything I really want more from him. I really loved everything he did in his life, and I thought it was a great album overall. But what would your guys' ranking of MF Doom be? Let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, that's it for this episode. I don't have anything else to say. Overall, I will do this more often. I enjoyed this, and I think it's gonna be nice because I'll get like more content on there, because now I have an MF Doom, Kid Cuddy, and a most anticipated of 2021 all coming out, so that's great for me. I'll have more videos coming soon, like rankings and other things like that. But yeah, I think every video I'm going to try and rank 2 artists' discographies, but we'll see how I feel about that. I think I might go with like a short discography and then a big discography, but we'll see how I feel about that later. I just want to kind of get through some artists so you guys can hear my opinion on some other artists. But yeah, see you guys next time. I don't have much else to say. And I'll invite us some other. I think next week I'll invite Tate on this, so I might do some things with like Jay-Z and Nas next week. See you guys next time. I don't have anything else to say. So yeah, top 10 worst of 2020 coming soon, and hopefully my best songs will come as well. That's gonna be a pretty big edit though. See you guys next time. Bye.